Hey everybody, so Mad Master here. I'm doing a video today, and this is going to be kind of a more fun video versus my last few videos, I guess. But I just wanted to go into some of my experiences in life and preferences and how that really works in my noggin. And I was going to write this all out, but I decided just to do another improvised video. By the way, I will say I'll probably be doing way more videos on my computer like I've threatened to do for the past 2 years, because I am buying more RAM for my computer finally. I only have 6 gigs of RAM and it's like a 2013 PC. I guess I could try my Mac, but I just don't even want to fuck with it because of the hard drive space, because I have like a solid state drive on my Mac, and then I have some other computers. I just want to get my PC to 16 gigabytes instead of 6 and use these newer programs I got. So anyways, enough about that. But I wanted to go into this whole thing about how my mind works with dating and just analyze some of my preferences. So I'm going to say flat out, I prefer indie girls to metal girls. And this is kind of a weird admission to make, but like, I'll just give you a little background. So growing up, I grew up in much of the age where metal was way more edgy of a type of person that would listen to it than now. Because I think a lot of people just, I mean, you have fucking Stranger Things fans listen to Metallica and stuff. So I mean, it's a lot different now than it was. So this may have jaded me a little bit, but there was like these situations. So my brother was in the metal thing, and especially this band, Judas Priest. But he also, like, the girls he dated were into hair metal and stuff, and like God bless me, or Satan bless me. It's being edgy. So the women that he dated were, into hair metal and stuff, other stuff. Sometimes he dated some other types of women too. Particularly, actually, early on, when I was, not early on, but like later on, when I was like 13, and he was like, was he 7 years older than me? 7, 8, 9. Like, yeah, I was like 13. He was dating this girl, and she was like more of an indie girl. She was kind of weird, and she was like interested in, well, she said if I was a little older, she was a college girl. It was kind of crazy. Like, I was like, had a deep crush on this girl. I'm not going to say her name, but I don't know, who knows how old. She's probably be about 50 now or something like that, I think, or up there. But anyways, so this woman, this girl was like into indie, like more independent alternative stuff, and my brother was like, oh, this is the new thing, like Jane's Addiction, the Pogues, or whatever the fuck. I don't remember what he was talking about, but because this girl he dated, he was influenced by the girls he dated sometimes. Of course, the girl, his long-term relationship back then, before he got married with his first wife, was a girl in high school, and she liked hair metal and stuff, and he went to like see Winger and Warrant and someone else, and he fell asleep notoriously at the concert. And also, I recall like the only Judas Priest album she liked was Turbo, or the one she liked the most was Turbo, because it was more commercial accessible. So there was always this weird thing. But back then, the type of girl that would like hardcore metal was kind of fucked up. Like, it's a stereotype, it's not everybody, but it just seemed like that was where it was at the time. Like, for a case in point, in middle school, there was this girl, like, she's like, I like Slayer, and she like cut herself and stuff, and she was like, she looked like she looked a little like a pig, but I mean, it was terrible. It's terrible to say this, but it's just like, she was fat, but she was like, had a short hair, and she was like kind of butch. It was really weird. It was just like, what, So it was kind of jaded me just early on, like seeing the more like hardcore metal girls that were around back then, at least in the United States. Of course, like in Europe, I don't know And I know the gothic metal girls, they, like these gothic metal girls, like there was one that was seemed interested in me, even though she had a boyfriend. I don't know what the situation was. This is before the poly thing took off. And she kept inviting me to these shows and stuff to go with her or her boyfriend or something. Like, oh, and she got really sad one time when I didn't go to, like, it was Cradle of Filth or something. I was like, she's like, wow, you're gonna miss a really good show. It was really weird. It was like really weird. Like, wow, geez, you must like me a lot, like, even though you have a boyfriend. But maybe they weren't. I don't know. I assume they were boyfriend and girlfriend. Maybe they weren't. But anyways, that type of woman, that's a little more up my alley as far as like, you know, if you like split it evenly, like goth metal, you know. But yeah, early on, I'm just gonna say this kind of reminds me because I was looking through some old pictures at a relative's house today, and I, you know, was reminded of my first girlfriend and, you know, a lot of other stuff, and I'm like, you know, my first girlfriend listened to like Depeche Mode and Vast, if you remember who they were, Radiohead, stuff like that, and like she liked Typo Negative and stuff, but she didn't like a lot of metal, and it's like, I think she liked the Deftones a little too, which is not bad for new metal. It's not as bad. So I think what happened was just like seeing metal girls around and stuff. This is a fucking weird video to do, but I'm gonna do it anyways because it's just how I feel about things. I just kind of I get an impression, and this is just all based on stereotypes and, you know, and just anecdotal experiences, so don't get me wrong, I'm not just trying to say this is the rule. So it's just kind of a fun video to explore this kind of thing. I just don't care, but I get the impression that a lot of metal girls down the line were very emotionally disturbed, you know, and includes some of them that I've dated too. And I'm not trying to, you know, bash anybody, you know, as far as exes or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, some of the ones that I've dated or encountered. Like, there was this girl that I didn't date that I heard about from the scene around here. There's like calling the police all the time on all her boyfriends, like through fits, like bipolar, BPD, or whatever, like completely out of her gourd. Now, this is not to say that no indie girls. So what I really mean by this is like the kind of girl or woman or whatever, you'd go to a coffee shop and they, you know, they'd be hanging out there reading a book. That's like I prefer that to like some kind of metal girl, you know, like that's hardcore to metal or drinks a lot of beer, or maybe they're more tomboyish or masculine in that way. I just prefer that. That's what I like that archetype. So my best relationships I've had, the ones I most value, are girls that were into, like, you know, they like, you know, had like a David Bowie shirt or something that from, you know, 1976 that they bought, and, or, you know, some kind of, maybe they like Tame Impala or some shit. I don't know. Like, I guess you call them hipsters. I guess you'd say. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like within that realm, why it's just like this kind of cultural thing that I appeals to me more, and it has through the years. Not realizing, like, even my first girlfriend that I ever had was like kind of like in this vein a little bit. So it's just kind of how I feel about this, and I don't know if it could change, but it's just, I prefer this like kind of intellectual type of woman that just has these kinds of interests, like, you know, in the past, at least up until recently, up until the current age. I'll just call it that. 2015, 2016. I would even say some of them, you know, I would prefer someone that listened to NPR and like drank, like, you know, maybe even had some avocado toast once in a while or whatever, or, you know, PBR hat or whatever. I'm not going that far, but, you know, I just prefer this, like, this type. But where I live, it's more of that type. And I've dated some women like this, and I've dated, and like my last girlfriend was kind of like this, I'd say, for sure. She was all over the place with a lot of different stuff, though. So I'm not going to put her in one box, but, you know, she was kind of, I guess she was sort of a former metal girl, but it kind of became more hip, I guess you'd call her. It was kind of weird. I mean, she wasn't easily classifiable, which is cool too. But that's even more like a kind of an indie girl wants to be, and I guess or is trying to be a sort of. It's like, I guess you'd kind of call it like the Manic Pixie Dream Girl, like from the 90s and 2000s, like Generation X / millennial movies, like, Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. I went crazy over that damn movie when I saw it. I was like, oh my god, that's my life, man. I had my best friend, he was like, or one of my best friends, he was like all like, at the time, I mean, like, really like, oh, that's me, Jim Carrey is like me in relationships, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not that stoic or anything like that. I don't think I'm like Jim Carrey, but I mean, like, I really liked Kate Winslet's character, and I thought like Kirsten Dunst was at her prime of looks, and like, not to say that she doesn't look good. No, I'm just saying like something about that movie crystallizes that kind of movie. See, this is the thing. That kind of movie was like Michael Gondry or whatever. See, that's the type of like a girl that would want to see that kind of movie. It's the type of girl I want to date too. I'm sure like a lot of metalhead girls like to watch that. I think the problem with metalhead girls is there's not a lot of them, it's because it's a very sausage fest music. But I just think like the ones that are, I just haven't met a lot of, maybe it's just anecdotal, but I haven't met a lot that I like. And I just kind of prefer someone that has a little bit of eclectic taste and things. I don't want to listen to like Painkiller, for example, just to give an example, every day. Maybe they'll put on some like kind of weird indie band, or some kind of, have you heard this, and that's what's happened, in my life. Like when I've met these girls and I've dated them, it's like they knew their boyfriend was a metalhead, but it's like they were into different kinds of stuff, like, I don't know, just more alternative, whatever, but actual alternative. I don't mean like like 90s Hootie and the Blowfish alternative or like whatever, that's what I mean. But and then I just think that that's kind of more my thing. It's just like this type of woman that stimulates me intellectually in a certain way, and I make no apologies about that. I know some guys aren't like that. They'd rather just have a girl that is like this or that, and or whatever, whoever they want to settle with or whatever. And I'm just more like that. I'm just more into this type of woman. It's just more my thing, and it seems to work out okay once in a while with this kind of thing, because it is more what I'm into. Maybe it's just subconscious at this point. Like if there's someone that likes me that's like this, then I go after them, I pounce. But like, I just don't like this I just like more interesting types of women, it's just like interesting. I'm judging people by these arbitrary things, but a metalhead woman to me would be kind of boring, because they're too much like me in a certain way. And I don't want someone like someone that does like listens to country music and goes to MAGA rallies per se, or someone that reads Cosmo and listens to The Weeknd and Drake. I don't want that kind of shit. Fuck that, I'd rather have someone that listens to I don't know who's big right now, whoever. I bought some albums like True Widow, and I bought these like kind of more indie-ish bands more recently, because because I heard them on this college radio station. I was like, this sounds really cool stuff. Like I bought like 3 or 4 or 5 albums by some of these bands. I'd rather date a girl that likes Tame Impala or what's that other band that sounds like Pink Floyd, someone like that, or Radiohead or whoever, than someone that listens to whatever country is popular now, or whatever rap auto-tune shit is. And I know those things kind of cross paths too, like one of my exes was really into Lady Gaga and shit, but she also put on Cattle Decapitation, in the car and shit. I don't know, a lot of people, and I think people, and what I mean like is this kind of indie girl is like a more, maybe a nerd, but like not a nerd. Like I'm a nerd. I like Marvel movies and like board games. No, I don't mean that. I mean like someone that has like reads books, like that's one thing that I like too. Like if someone reads books, and I know I was dating this girl once, and she was so pissed. Like how I asked her what books she read, and she's like all insecure. Like, well, she just smoked pot all day. That's probably pretty much what she did. You know, I wasn't really serious with that girl. It was like only about 2 months that I dated her. And I'm not talking about a certain other girl that smoked pot all day. I've dated more than one girl that smoked pot all day, by the way. It's not the only girl I've dated that smoked pot all day. So it's not the girl that, the other girl watches this video, I'm not talking about her. This is back in 2011. So it's fucking weird making these videos. But yeah, I just like, I like that type more than the metal girls I've met. And it doesn't mean that I couldn't meet a metal girl. It's cool. The ones I've met, I just don't like it. It just doesn't work for me. You know, the ones that I've met, I can't do it. It just doesn't work. And, you know, it doesn't mean that really hot metal girls I wouldn't like, you know, but just like, maybe it's just somehow it's like, if I meet the ones that it's not a huge number, I'll just say that, but I'm just saying, like the ones I've experienced, it's like 3 or 4. I'll just say 3 or 4 of the women I've dated that could be fully on to that indie kind of thing, okay, out of the blank number that I've dated in my life. And the 2 or 3 metal girls that I've dated, I just can't, there's something that's disconnected from a real, like, even having a conversation. And maybe it's just all anecdotal, I'm not saying that, but it seems like metal attracts a certain type of person, and there's not that polarity, sexual polarity with me and the girls that are metal. To use David Dida as as his theories and as an example, it's like I can't feel the same way. Like there's this polarity with like the more indie kind of girl. Maybe I dare say, because one of the girls I dated probably was the best one, and she was short and thin too. I'm not saying that that's gonna work for me. Where she wasn't short, but she was shorter and thin, and I wasn't. I don't think I was super thin then, but I was way thinner than now. Of course, I dug up a picture today that was absolutely just grotesque. That I didn't even know that I got that big. Like this was like, I posted on Facebook. It was me with a DSI shirt, and I looked fucking huge. I was just like, holy shit, I haven't even gotten that bad yet. That was a long time ago, but that was bad. Oh my god. So if people say that I have to go on a diet in my comments, I'm like, yeah, well, I'm working on that, but you haven't seen the worst of it. I mean, that was bad, dude. So yeah, I don't know what I'm saying, that there's a polarity with more indie type of girls, hipster, indie, whatever the hell you want to call it, closer to that than not with me and me. I mean, I should say, and I just find it like better in this way that I like a cultured sort of indie-ish kind of girl over a more raw metal type of personality, whatever that means. It doesn't mean this girl can't like metal. Of course, like my ex liked metal to some extent. But it means like a metal girl is rare in America anyways. But I don't like what I've experienced of it all that much in some ways. And this is judging past relationships too, and I feel pretty bad because, maybe at the time I gave an impression of one thing. I'm not trying to say I was misleading, but like over time I've realized that these personalities that I've encountered, and I'm not going to talk about looks in this situation because I don't want to be that judgmental, but personalities alone, I will say they have been kind of had just an issue with like being able to communicate in a normal way, and it's a limited amount of women that I've dated in general, but I'm just saying like it's not like a huge number, but I'm just saying like the ones that I've experienced as far as being into the metal thing haven't been the best, and it just something bothers me about it. And I think it's probably partly because I'm in the United States, and metal girls that are into metal are, there might be actually more indie girls that are into metal bands, like they go to a grind show but they also go to the indie show, than actual metal girls in the United States, or in this town at least. And those girls, I'm just saying, I'm counting them as like indie girls, as separate from this metal girl thing. So I just can't take it. It just I'm not into it. I just something, but it's not that. What the fuck am I trying to say? It's not that I wouldn't like a girl that's in a lot of the same bands I am, but there's something special, is what I'm trying to say, about this type of indie kind of girl that I like. This is what I'm trying to say. This is the whole point of this video, actually, now that I realize it. I should have scripted this out, but whatever. There's a certain type of thing that they have, a certain vibe that has been the most appealing out of all the types of girls I've dated. It's like the most appealing thing. Like, it appeals to me the most, aesthetically, physically, mentally, emotionally, interests wise. It just appeals to me in general. Whereas like a normie girl, I would never be able to stand that. Oh yeah, Packers, like the new Drake album, just like fucking Wisconsin normie woman, middle-aged or whatever. I probably couldn't really stand that. Pam, her name is Pam, or Karen, yeah, of course. I couldn't stand that, and I couldn't stand like a normie younger girl either, like a young, oh, I'm gonna go to the Packer game, oh, I'm gonna go to the Badger game, I can't stand that either. But if I had to choose between metal girls and indie girls, I'm gonna choose the indie girl, the hipster indie girl. I just like it. Go to a bookstore, an occult bookstore. Go to some weird hole in the wall in Chicago restaurant that nobody knows about, because I've had girlfriends like this that took me to these cool places. Just because you're a guy doesn't mean that the girls can't take you to cool places and show you some things of their own, and that's happened with me a lot. And those are the types of girls I like the most. I just love the exploration. It's more about the exploration. It's like the exploration with each other. Like, I dated this girl a long time ago that was one of these types of, kind of more indie or hip kind of girls. Now she lives in San Francisco, actually. I shouldn't be talking about this too much. Oh, I've doxed her. Nobody knows who the fuck I'm talking about. But, she, ironically, not ironically, because she's not ironic about living in San Francisco, but ironically enough, because I'm talking about hipsters and indie girls, she moved to San Francisco. But anyways, she would take me to these restaurants that were like unknown or new and stuff, and play me the band that she heard, that's some weird band that she heard or something, and noise band or whatever. Do you like this? Or like my ex-girlfriend took me to Halen. I bought one of their albums. That was like our last date before we broke up, but she took me to that show, Halen, whatever, Heil, and then UNG, whatever. She took me to that, and that's the kind of girl that would like, oh, you like this, blah blah blah. And I know some metal girls probably like that too, because they're kind of metal adjacent, as she was known to say. But it's like, that's what I like, is like this exploratory thing. I don't like some kind of, I don't fucking know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I'm going to post this video anyways. Just let me know what you think. I don't know if it's all in my head or not, but I don't think it is. I think there's something about me and this type of woman, this type of archetype that fits together better than me and some kind of hardcore metal girl. That's all I got to say.